Hello, welcome back to the channel Beautiful Souls. My name is Becky and I make videos all about van life, minimalism, slow living and holistic health. So today's video we're talking about the advantages and disadvantages of a low roof camper van. So let's get into the video. One of the advantages I love about having a low roof camper van is that you can get in parking places like this behind me. So there's my van under the trees. You would not be able to get a high top van parked in that space there, which enables me to get onto this area and off the beaten track, away from all the main parking. So you get an advantage over the larger vehicles and the high top camper vans. The other advantage, of course, is getting down small narrow lanes and lanes with trees overhanging. If you want to go off the beaten track to the beaches, to the countryside, to the woods, you have to always be aware of the height of your van, and there are some places that you just simply cannot get to in a high top. So have a think about where you want to go in your van. What is your lifestyle going to be? Do you want to be mainly at the seaside or on the coast, or do you want to be in the urban cities? Therefore, you have to consider height restrictions for parking. Will you be living in the van full time or just for weekends and mini getaways? These are questions you all need to ask yourself before you embark on buying either a low roof van or a high roof van. Now, the other great thing of having a low roof van is the affordability and that more car-like experience. It's very different driving a low roof van to a high roof van because you don't have to drive it like a big commercial vehicle. You can drive it more like a car, and it's particularly great, I would say, for a solo traveller or a female traveller who doesn't want to have to relearn how to drive and reconfigure a larger vehicle, because it does take more time and effort to drive around. It's obviously higher cost for running as opposed to a low roof van, and you have to really think ahead about where you're going to park, what accessibility there is, and just your overall space that you're going to take up. Now, the reason I chose a low top van compared to a high top van was because I'd had a high top van and it was just much more stressful for me to maintain and look after. Me being only 5'1", the high top van felt very overwhelming, very large, and just too much to handle, especially when you think about the fact that you're going to have to regularly climb up that height to maintain the solar panels, check on anything that needs to be checked on, and if you've got extra storage up there, you're going to be regularly climbing up and down with that extra height. I didn't want that. I wanted something that I could easily just reach up if I wanted to get something. As you can see, I can almost reach the top of the roof without even standing on a step, but I can visually see the solar panels. At a later date, when I install a top box, I can access that easily as well. So talking about making it easier to look after, you can do this in a high top or a low top van, but again, to maximize space inside the low top, I chose to put my water tank underneath the van, and there you see I've got a little tap there. So my water tank is underslung the van, making sure that I've got all the space in the back of the van for my bed and my personal items. Now, another reason why I chose a low roof van is because I'm mainly going to be using it in the summer and the spring for adventures and traveling abroad. So I didn't want to take everything I owned in my van just in case anything were to happen to it, because if you've got your whole life in your van and you have something happen, you basically have to start from scratch. So I always pack and travel this van like I'm just going away on a trip. And little monster here is very eager to get out and explore today. One of the advantages of having a low roof van is the option of having a tailgate. Now this is something that I chose specifically when I was looking for this van because of the extra ability that this adds to living in a camper van. You don't have the option of a tailgate when choosing a high top camper van or van in general. They only come in low roof options. I specifically chose this layout because it made the most sense to me, because this van is for living outside in the summer and for Europe trips. This is not for full-time living. So I planned my layout specifically knowing that I would use the tailgate for shelter from the rain and the sun, and create an outdoor kitchen for me living outside. So I've got storage cupboards here that all can be pulled out. I've got worktop space at the top with power points. I've got my shower connection with all my water. And the main reason that I love this layout is because I added a huge pull-out drawer. Now this gives me a huge outdoor kitchen area. So all I do is grab my induction hob, which is portable inside, grab my washing up bowl. I've got a fully prepped kitchen top and table ready to go. Now, because I'm a therapist and I work on the go and I'm hoping to expand my business as the years go on, I've also made this a fully fledged storage box that holds my full-size massage couch, my camping stove, my stool, and my other pillows and accessories that I need. There's my full-sized massage couch, and I've got camping stove, stool, and pillows. And there is so much depth and room in here. Now you could do this in a high top van, but obviously the storage would be a lot bigger, so therefore you'd have to organise it a little bit differently. I also liked this layout because it means that if Monty is in on the bed area, he's not going to fall out and there's not too much height for him to fall out. If you're in a high top van and you've got your bed up super high, please bear this in mind because it is a safety issue. If you have pets or children that are playing up in the bedroom area, they've got a long way to fall. Whereas in a low top van, you haven't got that worry. And by laying it out like this, where you have a backsplash there, there's no chance of them jumping over or falling out by accident. The other bonus I love about the tailgate option and having the bed stepped further back away from the entrance of the garage area is that your bedding or your storage items or your personal items don't get wet when you need to access this garage area in the rain. You do have that in a high top. So when you have the back doors open in a high top, everything gets wet, you get wet, and it's just a much less pleasant experience to try and get in the back when you want to search for something in a hurry. Now, talking about everything being shrunk down, I also have made everything in the van very minimal and small. So in the kitchen area here, I have 3 drawers for all my kitchen stuff. That includes my air fryer, my induction hob, my kitchen sink, which is just a bowl, and all my cooking pots and pans and utensils. Next to it is a fridge, and I've kept the worktop completely empty with just a bidet hose, so that if I want something out of the drawers, I can quickly get it up and use it and then put it back away. Another tip I have found from living in a van, whether it be a high top or a low top, is drawers. Drawers are your best friend, especially when it comes to a low roof camper van, because you don't have the added feature of having overhead cabinets. There simply isn't the headroom. So you make the most of every inch in a low roof van by creating drawers. That means there's no wasted space, there's no things getting lost behind the deep dark crevices of a cupboard. You can pull out the drawer, see everything that you need, organise it better, and you can fill them up more fully, and therefore you maximise every little inch of your van. Now, under the bed here, I have got a full extending pull-out drawer, and I've also got a pull-out bed extension. So this is a double bed, which fits me at 5'1" perfectly, but my partner Mel, he's 6'1", and so when he sleeps in the van, instead of sleeping side to side, which you normally would do, we have this extra pull-out that he can then sleep lengthways in the van. So we've got the versatility of whoever is sleeping in the space as well. Let's jump into the van and I will talk more about the interior. So here we are on the inside of my van, and as you can see, the roof is just a couple of inches away from my head, and because I'm 5'1", this is absolutely perfect for me. However, if you have a longer torso, then you are going to be stooped, crouching down all of the time. When you're in the van stood up, I can just about be 3/4 of the way up, but not fully. Mel, my partner, he's 6'1", he could not fully stand up, he would be fully bent over. So if you don't mind the fact that you'll be slightly cricked over or spending a lot of time prepping food and washing the dishes and getting dressed on your knees, then it's not a problem. You could combat this by adding up a Poptop, but this would add into the cost of your initial purchase of the van, about £5,000 to £6,000 extra to add a Poptop. I would recommend you get it professionally done so that it's ensuring the quality of the van long term and that you don't fuck it up. If that's something that you don't want to do right now and you want to just get in the van and get adventuring, then you could always do it later, but just bear in mind that it will be more disruptive and any build that you have inside will need to be adjusted. Now, I decided against having a Poptop because when I totted up the amount of times that you could use it, because you cannot use it in wind, you cannot use it in the rain, you cannot use it in the snow or any adverse weather conditions. So being here in the UK, I just knew that there will be very few chances that I would actually use it per the cost of what it would take to have it installed. So I made a little change. I decided to go for this beautiful big skylight here above the bed so that I can get that spacious feeling if it was to be cold and wet and rainy, but you still get the light and the space around you without feeling claustrophobic. The advantages of having a skylight is that you get that open area that you can come out and check all around you, especially if you're staying in a camper van on your own. This is an added security, so if anything goes on outside, you can quickly pop your head up through the window and check what's going on. This is an affordable option if you didn't want a Poptop, and in my opinion, it's actually a more sensible option because no matter what the wind and weather is doing, you can quickly just pop the skylight back down and you're all sealed and in the dry, and it's not a huge effort to try and scrabble around and get all the material tucked in and then have a soggy big Poptop inside your van, which causes condensation. Also, the beauty of this is that on a clear night, if you're in the van with a romantic partner or by yourself, you can just lay back and gaze at the stars. Get yourself a skylight. Now this is a double bed and there's room underneath for your feet here, but like I said earlier, there is a pull out that comes out towards the 2 front seats so that you do have extra area to stretch out as well. The layout with a low top camper van means that all your storage has to go somewhere. So you obviously can't have any cupboards because you'll just hit your head and you will restrict your view. So you have to either have it along the side of the wall or under the bed. There is less storage in a low roof van overall, but if you're clever with it, there's no reason why you can't still get everything that you need within this space. Now you do have to think much more minimally, but the interesting thing about this van versus a high top van is you can actually carry more. Now let me divulge this a little bit. This has a gross weight of 3 ton, whereas a high top van has 3.5 ton. But because that high top van is more van in itself, it means you can actually carry less. Whereas in this van, the van itself weighs less and takes up less space, thus increasing your actual holding space. So I have everything that I own within this van and I still have loads of room. Now that's not to say that you could get everything that you want within this space. It depends how minimal you live. But I find that this size van is more than enough for my needs. And I could live in this van should I ever need to full time. But I know for me in the UK, with the winter, with the cold and the weather, and the 2 of us, my partner and I, and the dog, living in this small space all the way through winter on bad, wet, rainy days, we couldn't hack it. So if you want a van that's great for traveling around quickly, nipping down those little country lanes, going to the beach for the weekend, or having an adventure with your friends, going on a kayaking weekend or going surfing, then this would be an ideal van for you, because you could just quickly pop in your sports equipment, you've got your bed ready, you've got a little bit of a kitchen area, and you've got all that outside space at the back of the van if you wanted to even extend your living area outside of the van. I would say low roof vans are more kitted for weekends, little trips, and for spring and summer living. High top vans are great for full-time living and in all winds and weathers, because you literally have got everything you need encapsulated in one little space. A home from home. Now the disadvantages of living in a low top camper van is obviously the space is that much more restricted. If you have children, pets, or a large group of people that you want to go out adventuring with, there isn't any additional bedroom space. So you'd have to think very carefully, did you want to share your bed with them? Is it going to be more of a sofa situation where you have a single pull-out that you can both share, or can you convert the front seats into some form of bed as well? The other option could be that instead of more solar, you fit a rooftop tent, which expands your sleeping area. But these are all things to consider because the facilities of the van can't sustain that many people. A second drawback for a low roof van is storage. So you don't have the ability to have overhead lockers. You have to have everything either under the bed or in the kitchen area like so, or I have got bedroom storage here as explained earlier. That is your option for storage. So if you want to bring bikes or something of a larger nature like a surfboard, these would have to be attached to the exterior of the van, thus making them a little bit more vulnerable to be stolen or damaged. In my opinion, a low top van is not an all-season van. It is just purely for mini getaways and short trips, not for full-time living, at least not in the Western Hemisphere where it is often cold, wet and dreary. You're going to be spending a lot of time in this small space, and after a while, if you can't sit up straight or you can't stand up, you're going to want to go outside, and when it's bad weather, you just simply don't have that option for very long. So you do need to consider where you're going to be going with your van. What do you see yourself doing on a daily basis in your van? Who's going to be coming with you, and what your day-to-day is like. Do you mind living in all winds and weathers, or do you prefer to be a fair weather traveller? in which case that will determine whether you go for a high top van or a low top van. You get all of the benefits of a high top van, obviously minus the height, but if you want to dip your toe into whether living in a van or travelling in a van is even your thing, you could easily rent a low roof camper van, or you could build out a low roof camper van, try it for a while. You could get used to living this way, work out how your layout works for you so that you can then perfect it for your next van, which could be a high top van. Therefore, it's not so scary jumping into the whole world of van life. You already know what you like and what you don't like, so that you then can replicate that in an even better and bigger build going forwards. Now, I could go on forever and ever telling you the pros and cons of a low roof van, but if I've missed anything out or you have anything to add, please don't hesitate to comment down below. I would love to know your thoughts or extra tips. These are of course just my opinions and my learnings over the years. I have had a high top, I now have a low top. So I know the differences between the two, and I've chosen the one that best suits me and where I want to go in the future with my van life. I have created a downloadable worksheet so that you can go over to Patreon and get access to that. It just helps you rehash out your ideas and get those thoughts down onto paper. There will also be a checklist of pros and cons over there. So if that's of help, then I will leave that down below. It's £5 to be part of my Patreon community. I'd love to see you over there. And until next time, take care, breathe in life every day. Namaste. What's not to love about being in a van? Whether it be high roof or low roof, the advantages of just getting out in nature outweigh everything. Now let's get going.